How can we fight back against cancel culture? If you talk about it, they just get mad, like you said, and toss out your opinions. And then if you're on the right and you're, the liberals kind of toss that away too, because they don't listen to opinions from the other side of the aisle.
We have to focus on economic justice. I mean, if you go into a Walmart and you work to organize, I mean, Amazon and Walmart, very sophisticated union busting apparatuses, whole anti-strike teams. But we have to begin to support workers, as with the Amazon plant in Alabama and other places that are going on strike. We have to begin. Economic justice is the key. And that's, King was always adamant about that. There would never be racial justice until there was economic justice. And he was killed, of course, in Memphis, supporting the sanitation workers strike. So, and that means if you're going to go down in an Amazon plant, you're going to have to deal with people who support Trump. What I think is Lord Salisbury. I'm not defending Lord Salisbury. He was a real piece of work. But he said, there's no permanent allies. There's only permanent power. And Saul Alinsky understood this. We're going to have to build alliances with people around economic justice who may not think like us, may not talk like us, indeed may embrace and espouse some views that we find distasteful. But if you keep, I mean, any society that rules, especially one as anti-democratic as ours, understands that you have to keep class divided. You have to create divisions within the society. And if you create those divisions, you can maintain power. But if there's a class consciousness, if classes come together against a ruling oligarchic elite, then they're in big trouble. There's a fascinating book. It was written in the 50s. It's called The Peculiar Institution by the historian Kenneth Stamp on slavery. And he gets the manuals that slaveholders had in order to create divisions among the enslaved peoples. So you create people who work in the house. You create drivers where you are foremen, in essence, who you elevate and give them a little better shack and some work. And those divisions become quite effective in maintaining control. And that's what's happened. I mean, that's what always happens. I mean, you look after the great mine uprising by mine workers in southern West Virginia that culminated in Blair Mountain, where they picked up Winchester rifles and actually fought the gun thugs and Pinkertons and that were hired by the mine owners. One of the things they did was create, they came in there afterwards and created local, I think they were baseball teams in all of the mine camps, and people poured their emotions into their team, and that helped break up the kind of class unity that had led to the confrontation. I mean, the U.S. Army was called in to essentially put it down. They sent Billy Mitchell down with planes to bomb Americans. So we have to recover that class solidarity. We have to speak in the language of class warfare. That's it. And that means making alliances with people who are suffering economically, but who hold political positions that we find repugnant.
But how do you, if you're a black man, make an alliance with a group that also would be happy to just string you up on a tree?
Look at Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton, well, first of all, in the mine wars, it was integrated. So there were blacks in that union. And the primacy has to be economic justice. So, I mean, the failure of the Pullman Porter strike in the late 19th century was that the white railroad workers didn't want the blacks in the union. That decimated the railroad owners managed to crush it. So if you walk into an Amazon plant and you're attempting to organize, you can't cut out black people, or you can't cut out women, or you can't cut out anyone else. And once you start working in a united front like that, that is a far more effective way to begin to break down the barriers of racism and the stereotypes of racism and everything else.
Than just calling people out on Twitter.
Yeah, of course.